If you're not following Stan Tatkin on Instagram, if you're an Instagram user, you should be. He identified 7 common deficits. So I'm going to run through his 7 common deficits, and then I'm gonna give you one more example of one. So theory of mind is one, and theory of mind is like an awareness and even curiosity about our own thinking and our own feeling and our own mind. So theory of mind is that I think about my own mind and I have an awareness and an interest in my own mind. This is a necessary precondition for empathy. If I don't have my own awareness of my own theory of mind, I'm not going to be able to then imagine, take your shoes and get curious about what's going on in your mind and in your heart. Deficit in memory problems, all kinds of places, the hippocampus, the amygdala, a bunch of places in the brain that could be affected early on in such a way that we have memory problems. I just told you that. How did, blah, blah, blah. You remember these things, but not these things, so memory of certain types of things. We talk about selective memory and like it's a joke, but really and truly different types of information are processed by different parts of the brain. And so lack of memory of certain types of information, say emotional, relational information, could be a deficit in brain development. Alexithymia refers to thymic is about feeling. Lex is the Latin root for like words, like a lexicon, and a meaning not. No words for feelings, alexithymia. I can't express emotion. I don't have words to articulate it. I don't know how to verbalize my own awareness. I may even have a deficit in my own awareness of my emotions. Okay, affect blindness is where I don't see it in you. So there are parts of the brain, particularly in the right hemisphere limbic system, and the connectivity from the right orbitofrontal cortex down into the limbic system. A lot of the connections in there are what are used to read other people, such that I pick up on these little cues and I can tell something about you based on the squint of your eye and the pull of the corner of your mouth and your tone of voice and all of these sorts of things. If that is not in place, then I'm not going to pick up on your affect states, your emotional states very easily. When I hear, for example, a partner says to me something like, he won't listen, I can't get his attention until I'm on fire. I have to be so angry to get his attention. A little bit angry doesn't work. And there are certain possibilities here. It could be that he's just a jerk. That's a possibility. Okay, I don't want to discount that. But it could be that there's a deficit here, that he doesn't get it. He doesn't pick up on you being angry until you are so angry, you're telling him just how angry you are. And he can't miss it. Okay, so that's affect blindness. Prosody refers to kind of the tone and the cadence and the pacing of our voice, basically. When you talk to a baby, people know how to talk to a baby. You change your voice, and there's research that shows babies respond better to that. Infants respond, and then when they're young children, the voice shifts a little bit. You don't still talk to them like you did when they were infants, and that's how that brain responds best. There's certain people who have an impairment around prosody, and that's going to make a difference if I'm trying to say to my wife, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that I hurt you. You mean so much to me. But it's coming out, I'm sorry that I hurt you. You mean so much to me. That's prosody. Now, again, deficit, maybe, jerk, maybe, but these things have to be investigated, because again, if it's just someone who doesn't care, that's a whole different treatment. That's different data for you, right? Than someone who there's a deficit here. Visual details, some people just do not notice visual details. And if you don't notice visual details, you're probably not going to pick up on emotional content very well. You're going to miss certain emotional cues, like someone wanting to share a song with you and it's really important to them. And then you're going to just 30 seconds in, be done with the song and just start talking, and they're going to get really offended. I know you're like, what does that have to do with visual details? Well, there's a correspondence there. Being able to appreciate beauty and intricacies of whether it's art or music or whatever, and that can often cause problems in relationships. And then thin boundaries, and here we're talking about psychic boundaries. So the concept of being an empath who feels whatever everyone else is feeling, that's having thin psychic boundaries. So that's actually a deficit. If you're not able to distinguish between your own feelings and the feelings of others, if you're not able to, even if you can distinguish, but you're not able to continue on without being overtaken by the feelings of others, that's actually a deficit. So those are 7 common deficits that TAT can identify. I want to give you one more, and it's the example of a deficit in affect regulation. That is the ability to regulate the feeling state of our body. And we're going to use chronic shame. Some of you may have heard this little example before, but I just think it's so powerful and really, really important. So chronic shame results when the nervous system was not consistently given scaffolded experiences of upregulating from hypoaroused collapse